Yo, what's up everybody? As a new player to Runescape coming from World of Warcraft, I've been really enjoying the game, but there was always one thing I struggled with, and that was the combat. Coming from very intense combat that was super challenging and needed, fast reactions, these big rotations and hard boss mechanics, coming to Runescape, especially in the early game, I really struggled to enjoy it. Magic, ranged, melee, it all just felt slow and almost so slow it felt turn-based, until I tried a boss for the first time. And that happened this week. The big Varrock rat Scurrius. And yeah, my opinion has completely changed. I really like it. Learning, the defense switching, the movement, timing of all the attacks, and, dodging all the different mechanics was really fun. And I'm excited to see how hard this can get. So here's part 4 of this old school RuneScape new player series. If you're enjoying it, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more, I'll have the full playlist to the side. Okay, so coming into this, I had no idea how bossing worked. I didn't know, where the bosses were, where to start, at what level, what gear. I knew nothing. So while I was at a Slayer task, I met somebody who was giving me some advice. I added them as a friend, and they offered to show me the first boss. They said the first boss, so one of the first bosses to get into is Scurrius. It's fairly easy. And the advice I got was, make sure you're switching from like protect from defense, protect from ranged, and make sure you bring some of the potions to refill that when you run out. That was the only thing I had going into this. And as you will see, we went into the group where you just go in with random people, and I did not perform well. I think I managed to stay alive, and I managed to get through it, but I don't think I was really doing much. And it probably looks pretty tragic, right-click attack on every single monster and struggling to get between the different, defensives and, being on the wrong inventory, goblin pies, I don't need to change to, protect from range, things like that. I definitely found this a massive step up from what everything in the open world is basically zero. There's nothing to really do other than turn a defensive on. There's nothing really else I've seen from what I've done so far. So coming into this was a huge step up, and it definitely took some learning. So I did this as a group for a few goes, like 3 or 4 goes as a group, to kind of learn and get a little bit better and understand what I was really doing. And then I went in solo, and I definitely preferred doing the solo. I think it's maybe because I was new and I was a bit more nervous of making mistakes, but going in solo you can kind of see the mistakes better. If something goes wrong, it's because you did it. If the damage is too low, it's because you're not doing enough. So I really enjoyed going in there. It was definitely slower, but it was more rewarding, and the XP was amazing. It was like 80 at times. You get like 80 plus strength per hit, which was huge. So I stayed in here to try and level my skills up to 70. I just stayed in here for a long time and just tried to get better, really. And then after, I think it was like 30 to 40, I beat him like 30 or 40 times, and the Scurrius spine dropped, which is awesome. I did not realize that these bosses had like their own progression. So yeah, took that over to the smelter, and then came back, and you could like take down the rats faster. And when you take down those rats with the Scurrius mace thing, you could just hit them all like whack-a-mole. There's like, and you're getting so much XP per rat. I stayed there even longer. I don't know. This might be a terrible way to level, but I was enjoying it. I was learning. I was getting some good drops as well. Every now and again, you get like a 20k, a 30k drop, which was really good. And yeah, I stayed here for quite a long time. I've just looked up at the loot tracker thing in RuneLite, and it says I've beat him 80 times and made 678,000 GP, which probably isn't a lot in this game, but to me, who was pretty broke, that's huge. Just getting like where a 20k drop is good, so getting that like every couple of fights was really awesome. And yeah, you get a few other things like the prayer potions and stuff, a bit of food. So yeah, this was a great first impression, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And then after grinding this rat for a good few hours, I had, a good amount of stats that I could do the Dragon Defender thing. People said you need 130 across your attack and defense, and I hit that, so I could go and grind out the sidearm, the offhand, because all I'd got was the blue shield, and I wasn't really doing much damage to anything. So I went and worked on this, and I looked up a guide, and it said go to the Warriors Guild, animate some armor, get a bunch of tokens, and then go fight some Cyclopses. And this was one of the most fun things I've done in the game. I think there's going to be people out there that like PvP. There's going to be people out there that like, the questing. I'm a big fan in just TISM grinds. just grinding for hours, days. It's like a 90s thing. The 90s MMOs was all just about grinding for loot and grinding for drops and having these really small percent chances to get drops and just grinding them out all day long. So this grind here to get the Dragon Defender was amazing. It's the first big one I've done in the game. And if there's more, what are they? Sign me up, because I really like this stuff. So the guide I was watching said that you should grind out about 2,000 tokens in this armor room. And basically, if you're not a RuneScape player, you're just watching this, what you do is you have to grind out tokens, and then you go to fight these Cyclopses, and you have to pay tokens to enter the room, and there's a fee the longer you're in there. So it costs you tokens for every few minutes you're in there, right? So it says you need to grind out about 2,000 tokens, and I worked it out how many I use, and the guide was pretty much spot on because I used 2,150. So pretty much spot on. And then the amount of Cyclopses it took was 421. Exactly. And yeah, so basically you go in and you fight them until they drop the Bronze Defender, then you hand that in, and then you can go in and grind out, the Silver Defender, and then you get to like the Mithril Defender, the Rune Defender, and then finally you can get the Dragon Defender, the final one, which has these really good like combat stats. And the weirdest part was I got all of the defenders. I got every single one in just the best stroke of luck ever. It was like bronze, hand it in, silver, hand it in, just back to back, which I thought I was on like a gold rush. And then I went to get the Dragon Defender, and I was in there for like 2 hours. So yeah, RNG got me in the end, but I thought I was, I saw 2,000 tokens. I'm going to do it in 500. But yeah, no, it took more. But yeah, I'm curious what your RNG was like in here. I really enjoyed this, so I didn't really mind being in here. It wasn't like, it didn't really cost anything. It was just time. It's just a time sink. But yeah, getting that Dragon Defender was a big endorphin here. And it's probably like the first really good item I've got so far. I mean, I got the helmet, but that was just kind of a quest item. Being able to like grind this one out felt really, really good. And it looks a lot cooler than a shield, right? So we had two big success stories of the Scurrius and then onto the Dragon Defender. And I was feeling really good. And I set my sights on the next big task, which led to the biggest L I think I've taken so far. This was just a massive blunder, and I feel so dumb. And you can tell me down below how silly this is and how I'm an idiot if you want. But okay, so ever since the start of the game, I wanted to grind to get these the rings, the fairy rings where you can teleport around the map. I found traveling around the map quite a struggle. And even with the spirit tree, it still felt like it was hard. And everywhere I went, I'd walk all the way up a mountain and there'd be a fairy ring. And it was like, I need to unlock this. And I looked at the requirements for the Fairy Tale 2, and they were just heavy. Loads of pre-quests, loads of skills, and like even the pre-quest needed skills. And then the rabbit hole went deeper because you need a certain level in farming. And I looked up how to level farming, and it'd say, well, the first thing to do is do these 5 quests. And then you look up herb lore, you need to get 57 herb lore. Oh, well, the best way to level herb lore is to do these 5 quests. And the cookie trail just getting longer and longer and longer. And some of these quests, Underground Pass is I think I'm gonna have recurring nightmares about it. This is the worst quest I've ever done, and I don't know if anyone will top it. I think halfway through this quest, I started contemplating why I'm even playing video games and what am I doing with my life, because you have to walk through this giant underground dungeon through all these paths, and then you got to go through this tunnel, and like you got to shoot the arrow at the thing, and then you got to jump on the rope. But if you fall, then you've got to go back down and get another rope, and then like there's this massive thing to get through this underground passage. And it took me so long, and I didn't even clock that armor is tied to your running weight. So I'm doing this in like granite chest piece and big armor and dragon legs, and I'm running out of stamina every 10 seconds, and I'm just like crawling through. And then you finally get through it, and you get to the next zone, and there's a follow-up quest, and I was like, I gotta do this now. And you do that, and he goes, hey, go back to town and get this stuff and come back. And then you go back, and I'm like, oh, well, I've cleared the underground pass, so surely I'll just like click on the cave and appear at the side, right? Because I've already done the pass. Nah, you go back in the pass, and you've got to do it all again. And I think maybe like I'm just a bit of a slow learner, because I don't think you have to go through as many times as I went through this, but I think I went through the underground pass 5 times to do the 2 quests. So never again. If there's ever a question of going back in this pass, that quest is going on the infinite back burner. because this was rough. Yeah, I think I was just lost at one point. I don't even know why I was doing certain quests, and I was doing quests, and then they would give a follow up, and I was like, oh, I've got the requirements, so I'll do the follow up. And I just went on like a quest completing adventure, just one after the other, and just trying to get skills from quests and trying to unlock parts of the map with quests. And then every time I did a few, I was like going around doing the farming runs every few hours, and any spare gold I had was going into like leveling herb lore with potion making, which was really, it took a lot of gold. So yeah, took me so long, but I feel like this was good progress for my account overall. Some of the quests were really fun. Some of them were, awful, but generally this definitely brought, the progress overall along in a long way. And I was starting to see, it would say, I'll go to this part of the map, and not only did I have it unlocked, but I kind of could work out how to get there. So it was worth it. But this was a really long, like 5 days maybe, of just progression. The only other quest I really struggled with, or maybe didn't like during this whole time, was the Troll Stronghold. Again, I think part of it is because I was running around in heavy armor, and it was like run from a town all the way up the mountain, all the way around the mountain, all the way up a hill. Use agility to get up the hill, and then use agility to get down the hill, and then go into the cave, and then come back out the cave and climb up to the top of the mountain. And I was either like chugging tons of stamina potions and spending all my gold, or I was just walking, which definitely slowed it down. But yeah, some of the puzzles were kind of hard, and some of the stuff here was challenging. But this was definitely one where you beat it, and it felt good. It felt like a big achievement to get out of the way. But yeah, that was like 2 of the probably longest and most challenging quests that I did overall in this time. But I think the rest of them were just fairly easy, like handed a few items or beat a few low level mobs. But with all that out of the way, days and days and days and days and days of grinding, I finally had all of the requirements green to go and do the Fairy Tale 2 quest, and I was ready. And I went to I got the branch staff, went to the house, the hut, went through the door, and went to the Zenaria place. And to my surprise, you walk in there, and it instantly unlocks the fairy rings. And you could have got that weeks ago. I could have got that when I did Fairy Tale 1. I could have got this, I think, ages ago, because all I did was walk in the room and say, hey, I'll take this quest, and it gave me the fairy rings. I didn't have to do the quest in any way. So I did it obviously because I had all the requirements, and it was fine. But yeah, the amount of quests I just did, I did like 20 quests. If I'd have had the fairy rings for those quests, it would have taken me half the time. I'm sure it would have. Yeah. So this was, don't be like me. Read up, learn, watch guides, because I was so frustrated with myself after that I feel like I could have done it a lot sooner. But yeah, let me know if I'm wrong. If maybe I had to hit all the requirements just to go in there. But I feel like I could have taken this ages ago. But yeah, Fairy Tale unlocked. Anyway, this was like the next big milestone I wanted to hit. I know I've got loads of gearing I want to do and loads of stuff I need to do, but getting these unlocked was like the #1 priority. So it was done. The wrong way, but it was done. And because there's so much of that to do, I didn't really get around to leveling much Slayer or doing much actual combat really the last, other than the stuff in the quests themselves. So yeah, the only other thing I've really done is unlocked the house. One of the quests I did in like this period was the one that gives you a house. And this is something I really want to get into. Everything I look up says it's a gold sink. I want to be able to just travel, really. I want to be able to like go to the house and then just like travel from there. I've heard that's really good because you can have like the transportation stuff there. That would be cool. But I've heard it's a massive gold sink, and I do not have that in any way right now. I'm pretty much just saving up for each next item upgrade. So I don't know. Let me know. Is there a affordable way to level this? Is this something you should just chip away at? Can you get the transport options early, or is this something you should set back until you've grinded out a long time? Either way, it looks awesome. I don't know. It looks like you can have like tons and tons of rooms and tons of stuff, but generally I've got no idea what to do. I pretty much unlocked it, and I placed a few bagged plants in here to level farming, and that's pretty much all I've done with the house. I don't really know what else to do with it. If there's anything I can do early on to make use of it, do let me know, because I haven't been back there since this quest. Yeah, that's probably it for this one. I know there's not that many things to talk about, but there's a lot of the stuff was really time consuming. I grinded the the rat for ages. I grinded the Dragon Defender for ages, and then I was just doing quests for days upon days upon days. But I think overall, I think I've gained the most like skill levels and the most account progress in the last week or so than any other time combined. I think this has been a really, really productive one. Even though there's not that much to really talk about, it's definitely been a very productive one. All I want to do now is just grind out combat, grind out Slayer, and get onto more bosses. I think that's the next big step. I have started today what do you call it? Recipe for Disaster. I started that, so that's what the next one's probably going to be about, because that looks like an absolute marathon. And looking at it, there are tons and tons and tons and tons of quests to do some of those as well. So that's probably what the next video will be about. So subscribe if you want to see that. But yeah, this game just doesn't end, does it? This game just keeps on giving. There's just thing after you get through one thing and there's another mountain in front of you. But it's fun. I'm really enjoying the journey. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know if you have any advice. I sure could need it. So thank you. Take care. And I'll catch you in the next one.